Hello and welcome to the third video in the series of mathsonlinetuition.com videos where we go over the Edexcel A-level books. We'll resume with C1, Chapter 1, and moving on to Section 1.3, which discusses expanding. Now, expansion is the opposite of factorization. We haven't covered that yet. That's a subsequent part of the same chapter, but for those of you who might have heard the phrases before, expansion and factorization, this is just for you to draw the connections together. But for those that haven't heard of expansion before in terms of mathematical context, or we can just think of it in the real life or practical world where expansion means to grow something. So in our particular case here, where we have our examples, in the example 3 we have 5 examples here, we can see from the solutions provided in this particular solution sheet that all we are doing is multiplying out the number outside, in 3a's case 5, by every term inside of the brackets. So we have 5 times 2x plus 5 times 3, which will give us this result. So it's very simple and straightforward, and I don't think it warrants a example being discussed in more detail. But let's just go to one of the exercises here, in exercise 1c, and again we'll take the most difficult of the questions in order for us to tackle the most hardest question, and hopefully once we've done that we can appreciate that the other questions will be much easier. So let's take exercise 1c. We're going to do question 20. Okay, so question 20 starts off with 3x squared. That's inside the brackets. You have 2x plus 1. If we close the brackets, we have 5x squared. We open up the brackets again, we get 3x minus 4. So again, everything I've just written is what we have here from the question. So let's figure this out. Now let's do step 1. The first thing that we want to do is we want to multiply out what we have here by what's in the brackets, and also the same thing for the latter terms. So again, just simple multiplication here, nothing tricky to do. So we have 3x squared multiplied by 2x, and then we have 3x squared multiplied by 1, and equivalently have minus 5x squared multiplied by 3x, and we have minus 5x squared multiplied by minus 4. Now it's very important for us to make sure that we don't get confused and we've multiplied out all the terms. One thing I like to do is use arrows, just to give me that confidence that I've included everything that needs to be included in terms of the operations. So now let's carry on with our computations. So we can see here that we have 3x to the power of 2 multiplied by 2x. So this will give us x, this 6, pardon, multiplied by x to the power of 3 plus 3x squared minus 15 x to the power of 3 plus 20x squared. Now again, we've made sure to take care of the signs, whether they be negative or positive, and again multiplying the different signs together, and the resultant sign is something you should have covered in GCSE, so I won't go over that. But now we can see that we have some terms that have the same powers, so we can start simplifying. So here we're going to have 21 x to the power of 3, pardon me, sorry, I didn't see the negative, so we'll actually have minus 9 x3 plus 23x squared. So that's the answer to question 20, and it's as simple as that. So let's carry on to the partner, which is factorization. Now factorization is pretty much, as we said before, the reverse. The book coherently explains factorizing is the opposite of expanding expressions. When you have completely forced an expression, the terms inside do not have a common factor. When you've completely factorized an expression, the term inside do not have a common factor. So again, all this simply means is that you're finding a common factor between the terms and taking that one out, whereas while putting all the remaining terms inside the brackets. So for example, here you can see that we've got any one of these 5 examples that clearly outline that each term is considered and all the common factors, in this particular case for A, being taken out 3, and then all that's left is x plus 3. And the way that you'll know that this is correct or that you factorized it properly is if you actually expand it, as we've done before. And if you were to revert back to the original question, you know you've got it right. So once again, you can see this pretty clearly, and it doesn't warrant us going through, so we'll just skim past it. And once again, we'll go on to one of the more difficult questions. We've got 24 questions here to test our abilities, but let's just take this simple one here. That's question 24. So exercise 1D, and that'll be question 24, and we have 12y squared minus 4yx. Now let's think about this. What do we have here in common? Well, straight away what stands out to me is I can notice that there are y's, and also at the same time I can see that there's even numbers. So let's think about this. One of the good points that we need to consider in this particular type of question is what are the multiples of one another, or what are factors of one another. So for example, we know that 12 is a multiple of 4. And we know that 4 is a factor of 12. So we can say to ourselves that in this particular case, the numerical value that is shared between these two terms is going to be 4. Because 4 fits into 12, of course 4 fits into 4. So having said this, we now move on to the unknown terms. We can see with this particular equation, we have y and yx. Now obviously x is not present in this particular term, so there's not going to be any x outside of the brackets, which is going to sit beside the 4. But we can see there's a y. But the next question stands as, how many y's? We can see here that y is to the power of 2, whereas y here is to the power of 1. So that means that they both share just the same 1y. So we can comfortably put a y outside. Now we need to ask ourselves, what's left? Well, if we've taken 4 out, and if we divide 12 by 4, then we get 3. Once again, if we've taken out 1y, how many y's are we left with here? Well, it's pretty simple to say, it's just y. Now, if we take away, which is obviously the negative here, then 4 and 4, which just give us 1. And again, we've taken out this 1y, but we're left with this x. So for that reason, we can put the x there. This will give us 4y, 3y, taking away x. And that's it. It's really that easy, and there's nothing much to it. So all you need to do is go through these different questions on your own and try to figure it out. And once again, you don't necessarily need a solution for this particular type of question. All you need to do, such as in this case, is just multiply out everything from what's outside with what's inside the brackets. And if you revert back to this particular or the original question, then you know you've got it right. However, there's an issue that you need to follow through your working out to realize where you've gone wrong in order to find the correct answer. So that's expanding and factorizing. Very simple, very easy, and very, very comfortable. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.